you for having me as a guest, as one of the participants, one of the speakers for this event, teaching people how to get ready for the future, for the coming of Jesus, and how to be healthy, and how to develop practical ways to be healthy. My assignment in this Zoom presentation is to talk about sprouts and microgreens, growing sprouts. And I've got quite a bit around me. I'm really surrounded. I'm in my kitchen here in North Idaho, and I've got a tray here of purple Rambo radish. It took me about a week to grow. I've got some alfalfa. A lot of that tray is gone because I ate it for my salad for lunch. And I've got here another tray of buckwheat lettuce. Had some of this for lunch. I love buckwheat lettuce. It's just fabulous. And I've got some other things around here I'll show you. And I'd like to read a text to start out in Genesis chapter 2. Genesis 2, verse 8 says, "The Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed." And this takes us all the way back to the beginning of time when God made the world and made man. And I have a garden outside this wall. Right now, it's too cold to go out there and garden. My fruit trees, I have some fruit trees, and they still have snow on them. My garden, my raised beds have snow on them. So you can't garden, at least where I live, in the winter, but you can still grow a lot of sprouts and microgreens. And I've just been impressed by this verse that God's original plan for man was to be in a garden and to learn to grow things, because there's hardly anything that's better for our health than things that we grow right in front of us. And here's another verse in Genesis 2:15. It says, "The Lord God took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it." So this was part of our assignment at the beginning, was to, the word dress has to do with cultivating the soil, cultivating the plants. And we all know that we're in a health crisis. We know that Jesus is coming, and we know that Satan is attacking us in many ways spiritually, and he's also attacking our bodies. He wants our bodies to fall apart. He doesn't want us to be healthy to serve God. And so that's why I've decided to wear another hat. I mentioned a little while ago before the recording started that I have one main hat on, which is my White Horse Media hat. I give talks and presentations for this ministry. Our main website is whitehorsemedia.com, and we're focused on prophecy and on helping people to understand the three angels' messages and get ready for Jesus to come. I also have another hat, which is my family hat, where I'm a husband to my wife, Kristen, and a dad to our two children, Seth and Abby. And then I also have another hat on, which is my health hat. And I've learned that it's very important for me to maintain my health, because if I don't, I can't serve God very well, especially, if I'm falling apart and if I'm sick. And I have been growing things like this, growing sprouts and microgreens for over 40 years. I started in the days when I was lost in the Hollywood Hills, lost in drugs, and just a wild life. And I decided that I needed to do something good for myself because I was doing a lot of bad things. So instead of just using drugs and staying out till 4 a.m, I started learning how to grow sprouts and microgreens and eating big sprout salads. And then after I became a Christian when I was 20 years old, I kept up that habit because I learned through research that there's hardly anything that you can eat that is better for your body than live food that is loaded with nutrition, that's not GMO, that's not sprayed, no pesticides, and it doesn't even have any transit time to the market, onto the produce shelf, and then finally into your refrigerator. Just a little while ago, I took this tray of purple Rambo radish, and you can see maybe a little bit here that the corner, there is no purple Rambo radish in this corner, and the reason was because I cut it and I put it in my salad. And then I also added my buckwheat lettuce. This is a beautiful tray of buckwheat. I just love buckwheat. It tastes very good. And I have a corner here that doesn't have any buckwheat lettuce because I took the scissors and cut that off and put that in my salad. And I also have a tray here of alfalfa greens, and I cut this corner out and I put that in my salad, plus some sprouted fava beans. So today for lunch, just about an hour and a half ago, I had a live completely organic, delicious sprout microgreen salad with some avocado and some seasoning. And I tell you, it was good. And I've been doing this this particular winter almost every day when I'm home. I am eating sprout salads for lunch, plus a few other things. So, and this morning I went jogging with a couple of friends way up in the woods in North Idaho. And I just feel really good these days. I'm getting close to 62. And I believe that my health has been greatly enhanced by learning how to grow these things and to eat them on a regular basis. Here's another tray I'll show you. Oh, this is a tray of wheatgrass. This is ready for harvest. And this is another tray. This is not probably another 4 or 5 days, but these are fava beans. They taste like peas, kind of a combination of peas and sunflower greens. And they are delicious in a salad. I wrote a little book called Sprout Power. It's one of my many books teaching people about the health benefits of sprouts. Here's another book I've read called Sprout Garden. Here's another one called the Everything Sprouted Grain book. Grains are very easy to sprout. Here's a book on microgreens. So I've been doing my homework on this, and I've been growing these things for a long, long time. And it's just, when you learn about the power of a growing seed, then you learn what kind of incredible nutrition is in a seed. What happens is when you take a little tiny seed, and this is a little packet of pea seeds, just like the peas you put in your garden. And when you start growing these, when you soak them in water, and then they start growing and germinating, and they start getting a little bit bigger, that's called a sprout. And I have a jar here of lentil sprouts, if you can see that. These are growing, and it took me less than 2 days to grow these. And I'll tell you how to do that in just a little bit. And once the seed begins to germinate and sprout, and the little root comes out and it starts to grow, what happens is these seeds become tiny factories. They begin to multiply nutrition like you just wouldn't believe. The vitamin content goes up, the mineral content goes up. It's just like when a baby is conceived inside of a woman's body, and the sperm meets the egg, and you have a new life called a zygote. And what happens is there's DNA in there, and there's all kinds of incredible things inside that one little cell, and then the cell doubles, and then it continues to multiply, and what's inside the cell is basically copied and duplicated. And so instead of having one DNA strand, you have 2 in 2 different cells, and then 4, and then 8, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what happens with a seed. When a seed begins to grow, it just multiplies cells within itself. So its protein content multiplies, its amino acid content multiplies, the vitamins, the minerals, the phytochemicals, all these different things that help the seed to grow and the plant to grow are being multiplied. So when you eat a seed in the sprouted stage, you are getting a tremendous amount of living nutrition that's just growing. Now, what researchers say is that when you take a seed and you grow it a little bit, if that's the sprout stage, and then when you grow it a little bit bigger and it sprouts little leaves like these leaves here, this then becomes called a microgreen. So the seed, you go from the seed to the sprout to the micro, which means small, the small green. And then you keep going along the stages to a baby plant, and then finally you get the full plant that's in your garden. Now, researchers have discovered that if you take a pound of broccoli microgreens and compare that with a pound of broccoli that you pick in your garden, a full head of broccoli, that there is much more nutrition within the pound of microgreen broccoli than there is in the full head of broccoli that you pick in your garden. So researchers have found that the peak stage of nutrient saturation is the microgreen stage. But sprouts have a lot of nutrition, tons of nutrition, and microgreens have even more. And so in these days when people they know, many people, that the best food that they can eat with the most nutrition is food that they grow themselves. The challenge is that a lot of people, they don't have a garden, they may not have land, or they live in areas where winter hits and the garden's under snow, or they don't know what to do. Maybe they live in an apartment or a small place, they don't have enough space. Maybe they don't have what they consider to be a green thumb, or they're so busy they don't have time to pick weeds, that there's a whole lot of people that just don't know or can't grow their own food. But there's an answer to that. There's a solution to that. And the solution is learning how to grow sprouts in jars like this, or in trays like this, and microgreens. And you can do this any time of year, all year round. You don't need very much space. You don't need to have a green thumb, because once you learn what to do, it's very simple. And you don't need a lot of time, because some of it is just seconds a day to grow certain sprouts. And you don't need a lot of money. You can start very simple. And so the benefits of growing your own sprouts and microgreens, to me, they're off the chart. You're blessing your body, you're blessing your brain, you're feeding your cells. Your whole body is made up of cells that need to be nourished. They all have nutritional requirements. And if we have a lot of nutrients in our body, then our bodies just work better. We think better. We can exercise more. We can handle the stresses and strains of life. We can serve Jesus better if our bodies are healthy. And again, one of the best ways to increase high-powered nutrition into your system and to get that in there is through growing sprouts and microgreens. It's just a tremendous thing. So let me just share with you a few things, and I'll tell you more toward the end about my course. I have an entire course that I teach. As far as we know, it's the only online video course of its kind where I walk a person from A to Z with demonstrations on how to grow these things in a course called Sprouting with Steve. So we put that together, but let me just make this practical for you and show you some of the things, what to do. You can go to a market, it's just about any market, and you can buy a bag of lentils. Lentils are one of the easiest seeds to sprout. They're very high in nutrition. They're just screaming with nutrients, and they're very, very easy to grow. All you have to do is have a little jar, and you don't have to have a lid like this, but I use these lids. They're sprouting lids. They have holes in them. If you can see, you can kind of see through there. And so what I did, today is Sunday. So Friday afternoon, I came home. I was in town for a little while, and I realized, oh my, I'm giving my demonstration on Sunday on sprouting, and I haven't started my lentils yet. So I came into this room at about 4:30 on Friday, and what I did was I took a jar of lentils, and you can buy lentils in any market. You can buy them you can buy a bag for $1. And what I did was I took these lentils and I poured them into this is a mason jar, a simple canning glass jar. And I poured these in there, and they were about this high. And this was just 2 days ago, Friday at 4:30. So now it's almost 3 o'clock. So this was less than 48 hours ago. I put the lentils right in there, and they were this high. And then I filled it up with water to about here. And that was 4:30. And then I came back before I went to bed Friday night at about probably 9:30. And then I just poured out the water. So I soaked them. I gave them a bath for about 5 hours. Sometimes I do it at night and soak them overnight, but I didn't really have time because I knew I needed to get those seeds started for this event. So the idea is, first you give them a bath. And the bath is when they're submerged in water. It depends upon the seed. The bigger seeds, you can soak them longer. The little seeds, you can, like alfalfa, you only need to soak them for maybe 3 or 4 hours and then drain out the water. So that's what I did last night. And when I came back at about 9:30, this line here of the sprouts, the seeds had grown up to about here. So there was about halfway. just by soaking them for 5 hours, which means they were getting active and they were starting to expand and starting to grow. So you soak them one time, which is where you give them a bath. And then what I did was all I did was I poured out the water. I just poured out the water into the sink, just poured out the water, drained it. And then I put this jar in a little tray like this on an angle. So the water drains out. And I did that Friday night and then I went to bed. And then Saturday morning, I got up, Sabbath morning, came over here to my kitchen, and I took this and stuck this under the sink. And then I just put the water in, so the water came up, and then I poured the water out. So the idea is you give them a bath once, and then you give them a shower twice a day. If you can remember that simple way to say it. Give them a bath once and give them a shower twice a day. So in the morning, I put the water in and just poured it out and put it back in my little container. I have it's a little jar, little contraption here to hold the jar, and I put it into my little plastic thing. Now you don't have to do this. If you just get all the water out, you can just really let it sit on the side on your counter, or you can stick it upside down. This particular top here, the sprouting lid, has little protrusions so that you can sit it down on the counter, and the water, any extra water will come out, or put it in the sink. So the idea is just get this much water out and then let it sit. So then yesterday, Sabbath afternoon, at around, 6 or 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, I came back in and I put it under the sink, and I put the faucet on there and filled it up with water and poured it out. So I gave it a bath Friday, and then a little shower Sabbath morning, and a shower Sabbath evening. And then I stuck it back here behind me on my little shelf, and I let it sit there. And then I decided not to water it today, because I know that when seeds get a little bit starved for water, they actually grow faster. So I haven't watered that since then. And now, so it's only been 2 days, less than 2 days. And I don't know if I can show you this. You can see that. See that? Those are lentil sprouts. So you can tell they're really growing. They got little tails on them. And I like my lentil sprouts small. So I might grow them for another half a day. And then what I do is I just pour them right into my salad. So today I had my purple Rambo radish and my alfalfa and my buckwheat. And then I had some other fava bean sprouts that I put in there. And if this was tomorrow, I would pour on top my lentil sprouts. And then I'm basically done. It takes 2 days to grow lentils. And it only takes seconds, however long it takes you to put the seeds in, to put the water in, soak them for 4 or 5 or 6 hours or overnight, and then take it, pour the water out, and then put some water in and pour the water out, put some water in and pour the water out, morning and evening. Within 2 to 3 days, you're going to have a nice big fat jar of live, nutrient-saturated lentil sprouts that are so good for your body. Now you can do this exact same thing with peas. Here's a container of peas that you grow in. You can put them in your garden, or I buy these from a company in Utah, lots of different bags of seeds. And you can do the same thing with peas. All you do is you pour the peas into your jar, put about this much, make sure they're fully covered in water, soak them either for 4 or 5 or 6 hours or overnight, pour out the water in after 5 or 6 hours, and then you just rinse them twice a day, and the peas will go right up. You can do the same thing with barley. Barley is a great grain to sprout, very easy, same exact thing. There's all kinds of different seeds. Mung is another seed, very, very easy to grow. You do the same thing. So there's lots of different seeds that you can grow in a jar. You can start your lentils on one day. You can have another jar the next day, and you can start another jar of peas. And then the third day, you can start a jar of mung. The fourth day, you can start a jar of of some kind of a grain like barley. Barley sprouts really well. I really like growing those. And then the 5th day, you could have a different kind of seed. So, and it doesn't take hardly any time. It doesn't take hardly any space. All you need is just a space to find a jar, put a jar somewhere. I mean, you can stick it on your counter. You can stick it under your cabinet. You can grow these in your bathroom and just put it under your sink. They don't need any light, no grow lights, no sunlight. All you need is your jars and your lids. And even if you don't have lids, you can probably just use your hand to pour out the water, just keep the seeds from going out. Some people use a nylon from like a stocking or a cheesecloth, but these lids are very easy to get. You can buy a whole bunch of them. I bought a whole pack of these, got a whole bunch of these lids, and I bought about 10 of them on Amazon for probably about $10. So very cheap. So you just get your jars, your lids, your seeds, put them in, soak them, drain them out a couple times a day, and you've got live food. And really, that's all you need. You can do it for the rest of your life, very simple, or you can take an advanced step and grow in trays like these. I like these little trays. This is called a sprout garden, and you can actually pack these on top of each other. I have a whole stack of these, and you can put them one on top of each other with these little lids. So they'll stick, this one's on top of this, and then you've got this, and then you've got this right on top of this. Some water there. And you can stack up your different seeds, and they're very, very easy to grow. Once you know what to do. I like to use these for clover, for broccoli, for alfalfa. Lots of different seeds. And then you can grow other things. This is a tray, a little tray here. This my wife had some dessert that she didn't want this tray. So I said, hey, this is a great tray to grow microgreens. And there's no dirt in here. I use some little pads, which are called micromats. Little pads. So I put these on here. I put them on the bottom. And then I soaked them so they were nice and moist. And then I took some, this is kind of like it's called Azomite, which is a fertilizer. It's like a clay powder. And I just poured some of the Azomite on top of the wet. You can use a napkin. You can use the micromats, anything that'll catch the seeds. And so I poured some of that on there. And then I took a little packet here of, not peas, but I have a packet of purple Rambo radish. I sprinkled them on there and kind of, made them nice and even, not too much, not too thin. And then I used a spray bottle. Here's my little spray bottle. And I sprayed them down and gave them a good soak. And then I have another one of these trays that I put on top. And then the next day I took the lid off and I sprayed them again, put the lid on. Next day, took the lid off, sprayed them again. And I did that for about 4 days. And then they just started growing right inside this little thing. And you can see there underneath, that's the micromat and the roots. And so I started this about maybe 8 or 9 days ago. I really don't like radishes in my garden. I've never liked radishes, but I really like radish microgreens. They are good. So today for lunch, I took my scissors, got a scissors back here somewhere, and I started, I cut off a corner, cut them right above the root line, just a little snip, 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 and then put a whole bunch of those inside my salad. And you can do the same thing with there's like mustard seeds, arugula. I love growing arugula microgreens. It takes about a week. And you have arugula. There's all kinds of different seeds that you can grow. So you can grow them in your jars. You can grow them in this little container. You can grow them like this, or you can grow them even bigger, like buckwheat. Now this buckwheat, you can grow buckwheat without soil. But I think that they grow better with soil. Some plants are just fine without soil. Some do better in soil, like wheatgrass does much better in soil. Fava beans, sunflower greens, they do better in soil. So what I did with this was I can't see it right here, but right behind me, I've got a big bag of potting soil, organic potting soil that I bought at, I think, Ace Hardware. And I put about this much potting soil in there, patted it down. And then I took my buckwheat. Here's a container of buckwheat. A container of buckwheat. See the buckwheat seeds? And I just took the seeds and sprinkled them on the dirt. Just a good even layer, not too thick, not too thin. And then I sprayed it down. Either I don't remember if I used this or if I went to the sink and sprayed that down with a little, the spray from your faucet. Gave it a good soak and put a lid on top of it, upside down, put a lid on top and let it sit there for 24 hours. 24 hours later, I took the lid off, sprayed it down again, and then put the lid back on. 24 hours later, took the lid off and sprayed it down again. And after about, 5 days, they were growing sufficiently that I took the lid off and I put it on the table. This you can probably see the sunlight's coming through. I'm in the kitchen by the window. And you don't need a grow light. All you need is just to find a place where you can get sunlight right through the window. And that's what happened. Look at this. Now, it's been about maybe 8 days. And there you can see this is beautiful buckwheat lettuce. This is just mild tasting. If you've never had buckwheat in your salad, I tell you, you don't know what you're missing. And so that's how I grew that. And it didn't take long. The wheatgrass, I did pretty much the same way. I soaked the seeds overnight. Well, actually, those I soaked them and drained them for a couple days until they started sprouting. And then I put the seeds on top of the soil, watered them down, put a lid on. I did the same thing with the fava beans. These fava beans, I soaked the fava beans overnight for just one night. And then I drained them for a couple days, maybe a day and a half. And then once they started sprouting, I put my soil, my potting soil, about this high, pushed it down, and then I took the little fava beans, which were starting to sprout, and I put them all around here and pushed them into the soil, didn't put any dirt on top, just put them in the soil, and then used my spray bottle or the sink and wetted them in real good. These trays do not have holes on the bottom. I don't use trays with holes. I just try to eyeball it so you make sure they're moist, but they're not drowning. You don't want a swamp, but you do want them to be moist. So I put the water in there, put a lid on top, and let them sit on the table. And then 24 hours later, took the lid off and put more water on there. And that's what I have after about maybe 5 days. And after another 5 or 6 days, those are going to be really big. And I cut them off and put them right in my salad. So anyway, this is some simple, practical tips on how to grow these. There's a learning curve. Once you start doing this, you learn as you go along. And as I mentioned, I teach an actual course, an entire course on this. And let me see if I can get that picture up here on the screen. If I share the screen, hopefully this will work. I want to put a picture of me with my sprouts. Let's see. I guess you can't see that, can you? That's the wrong. Where is that?
It's coming up.
Is it coming up? Should be up there. Is it coming?
Slowly, it's just turning.
But you can see it starting to materialize?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Well, anyway, that's a picture of me with a whole bunch of sprouts, which I've just shown you. And I teach an entire course called Sprouting with Steve. If you want to learn more about it, you just go to the website, sproutingwithsteve.com, sproutingwithsteve.com. You can do what I've just told you today, or you can get some more help and join the course. And what happens when you join the course is I take you by the hand and I walk you through how to grow alfalfa, broccoli, clover, mung, lentil, peas, purple rambo, radish. I have a sprouting section, and then I have a microgreen section where you grow microgreens in soil or potting soil, and then another section, how to grow microgreens just with water. So that's what the course is divided into: sprouts, microgreens in soil, and microgreens in just water. There is a cost, but it's not expensive. It's just a one-time cost. And then what happens is you get an email back that gives you login information, and you go right into a website with that login information, a private website where you can then click and you can watch all the videos where I show you step by step by step by step by step how to put in the seeds, how to soak them, how to drain them, how to plant them. You watch them grow. There's a couple times in the course I probably grew like 25 or 30 seeds where a couple times things didn't work out. And then we troubleshot, why didn't these sunflower seeds grow very well? And no, the reason was these were not good seeds, got them from a place I don't normally get them. So then I got another batch and did it again, and they grew just perfectly. So the course actually teaches you how to troubleshoot if things go wrong. And we're so confident that this course can teach people how to sprout that we have a money-back guarantee. It's very practical, very simple. And our motto, we have a motto, and the motto is, you can do it. So as I'm growing something and you're seeing me grow these and seeing them grow, I look at the camera and I say, now you can do this too. Just get your seeds, get your jars, and get started. And we also have one company that we direct everybody to. It's in Utah. And that company is where you can get all your seeds. You can get all your jars, all your trays. You can get your Azomite if you want to add extra nutrition to the soil or to the water. And so it's just a real practical course teaching people how to be healthy, how to grow these. I also give different people options for how to grow these healthy foods. We have another little option here. Instead of a jar or a bigger tray, let's say you only have a little bit of room in your kitchen, you can use these. These are called Sprout Masters. Peas grow great in these. So do lentils. So does mung. And you can put them in here, and you can just water them, and the water comes out on the bottom and goes on to the little the bottom there, and you can stack them. So you can put it right on your kitchen countertop, and you've got your lentils here, your mung here, your alfalfa here, your barley here, your sunflower seeds here, and then you can just rotate them, and you can eat them every day. So sprouting is a big blessing. The Bible tells us in Genesis chapter 1 that in verse 29, God says, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for food. So God has given us seeds that grow for food and nutrition. And in these end times, when our bodies are depleted, people are fighting all kinds of diseases like cancer and heart disease and diabetes and COVID-19, and the list just goes on and on and on, neurological diseases. Putting a lot of nutrients in your body on a regular basis from food that you're growing is one of the best
Steve,
things for your body. Yes.
Steve, I'm so sorry. Can you stop the screen share? Because no one can see you now.
Okay, were they able to see the...
No, it never worked.
The picture never came up.
Yes, I know it didn't come up. It's okay.
Let me just try that one more time. I'm sorry, I don't know. I can see the picture right here. Let me just try one more time. Bummer. Well, I guess it's just not up. So we'll stop that and go back to that. But hopefully people could at least hear me. Oh, so they didn't see my little stack, right? They didn't see the white stack?
They may not have. A few people were saying they couldn't see.
Yeah. Okay, this is the Sprout Master. This is a sprout garden. You can stack these if you have a little more room on your countertop. The Sprout Master, you can put one kind of seed in there, like your lentils on the bottom. You can put another one of these. I've got one back here. You can put another stack of mung, put another one of barley, put another one of sunflower. If you only have a little bit of space in your kitchen, you can put this on your windowsill, and you can just grow your sprouts and rotate them, and you can have sprouts in your salad every day. I like to put sprouts also on my waffles. Lentils are great on waffles, and you can put them in your granola. You can put them in a sandwich. You can put them in a wrap. There's all kinds of ways to eat sprouts, and so the main thing is just to start doing it. And so hopefully this has been helpful to you. And again, if you want to check out my course and become one of our students with Sprouting with Steve, just check out the website sproutingwithsteve.com, and it'll show you a lot of information. Then if you want to purchase the course, you join. As I mentioned, money back guarantee, no strings attached, and I'll walk you by the hand from A to Z, and I'll show you how to do this. So I think I'm just about done. Maybe we should take some questions now. How's that sound? It's been about
Okay, that sounds great.
And then we go for some questions.
Okay. Those greens look great, by the way. Thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Sure.
Okay, so Brother Fred or Carlos, what we can do is we can start by the raised hand. So if you would like to ask a question, remember we're going to ask one question at a time. And Mr. Wohlberg, if you can just answer as briefly so that we can get through as many people as possible, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, Carlos, hopefully you're there because you're going to tag team with me while I step away for a moment, but I'm going to go ahead and get it started off here. I see GA, you have your hand raised. Go ahead and unmute your microphone, please.
Good
All right,
afternoon.
go ahead and ask your question. Thank you.
Yes, I was wondering what is the name of the company in Utah where you order your seeds?
Yeah, sure. It's True Leaf Market. True Leaf Market. They're a wonderful company. If you join the sprouting course when you get inside the website, I have a couple of interviews with the main president or CEO of True Leaf Market, Parker Garlitz, and then also another one with his sister, Caitlin. And so you get to know the company. They're a wonderful company. If you order more than, I think, $45 worth of seeds or products, there's no shipping cost. Their seeds are very, very good. They're very high germination. The people are wonderful. Customer support's great. So for people that join my course, I direct everybody to True Leaf Market for all their supplies. So it's great. You don't have to, get confused with all kinds of different options. You just pick what you want to do. You go to True Leaf Market and you get everything you need.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. I'm going to go there myself.
Sure.
All right, let's go to Vanessa. Go ahead and unmute your microphone and ask your question, please.
Thank you. Steve, while you were demonstrating, I grabbed my lentils and grabbed my Atlas jar and started. What kind of seeds do you suggest, though? Because I don't know if these are non-GMO.
Yeah, I don't know either. And the chances are that if they sprout, they're not genetically modified, most likely. When I teach people, how to do it in a real simple way, like I said, the simplest thing to do is go to the market and buy some lentils. Now, other sprouting seeds, you don't typically get at the market, like your alfalfa seeds or your mung seeds or your purple Rambo radish. And I just sprouted a bunch of yellow organic soybeans or black organic soybeans, sunflower greens, fava greens. You typically can't get those at the market. You have to go to a specialty place. And so True Leaf Market has all those seeds. They've got a fabulous website. They've got all the sprouts and all the microgreens. And that's where I get, all the rest of my seeds. But lentils you can get anywhere. So the lentils that you have that you just started, Vanessa, I think they'll be just fine. And you'll know within 5 hours from now, you'll just look at your jar and see, have they gone up? If they've gone up, you know that they're alive. If they don't do anything, then they're probably just dead seeds. But if they grow up in your jar, then you'll know they're alive, and you'll know after a day or two, because once you just drain the water out, within a day and a half, you should be getting sprouts. So 2 days. So you'll be able to find out that way.
And can you replace this for any of your fresh vegetables? Like if you don't have a garden, can this be a replacement?
You definitely can if you grow them into the microgreen stage. Now the sprouting stage is loaded with nutrients, but there's even more when they start sprouting these little leaves, and then they get sunlight from the window, and then they start. Then they're called microgreens. So you can get the greens from your garden. You can get plenty of fresh vegetables, greens, chlorophyll from alfalfa, from broccoli, from clover. Clover is a wonderful little seed to sprout. Your buckwheat lettuce, your sunflower greens, your fava greens. This is, you can grow green, obviously green radishes, but I like the purple ones. These are pretty and they add a nice touch to the salad, a little kick. So yeah, you can surely do that.
I love how dense that looks when you showed your sprouts there, and so it's beautiful because that's starting your green thumb right there.
Right here. So, water these to you. Just take a look at that. Doesn't that look good? Don't you want to grow some of these by yourself? You can do it.
Excellent. Veronica, I see you're up. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Good evening. I wanted to know, do you have a YouTube channel where I can watch this? Because it does look very easy, but I'm a little, I want to make sure that rinse it and would give it the shower the right times and make sure I'm using the right thing. Because it seems like you eat the top and not the bottom. And does that mean you don't cook your stuff? Everything you eat raw? I probably need a YouTube channel.
There's all kinds of questions. We do have a YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and type in Sprouting with Steve. I guess it's youtube.com/sprouting with Steve, I think, but you should be able to find it. And on that YouTube channel, we do have a lot of videos, but you're not going to get the practical instruction of exactly what to do and how to put the water in it to drain them out and different things unless you join the course, because in the course we have probably 10 or 15 hours worth of video demonstrations. With different seeds, you do different things. Now with these, I never cook my sprouts. Some people do, you can, but I never do. I always just eat them raw. Now, like with alfalfa, these will just pick right. I just pick them right off of here, and I just put them right in the salad, along with the buckwheat and the purple Rambo radish. And I put my avocado, my lemon, my different, tomatoes, and it's just a living salad right there. So that's what I do, but you can do different ways. In my course, we have a link also to a whole bunch of different ways to grow sprouts, and I answer a lot of people's questions on different things like the kind of water. What water do you use? Does it make a difference? Tap water. Tap water is not as good as water that's filtered, but it'll still work. And so it's better to grow them with what you have and put the nutrition in your body, and then to make progress as you go along. So hope that answers your question.
Excellent. That's wonderful.
Okay,
Thank you. Sandy.
Hi, Steve. So
Sandy.
I know that vegetables, if you don't eat them, they're going to turn brown, and that would indicate the shelf life. Are the microgreens and sprouts, they last little longer than the vegetables that you get from the grocery store? And then also the beans that you get from that true market, the true leaf market, what is the shelf life on those?
Yeah, those are great questions. Different seeds are different. With these, I got these at True Leaf Market. These are my buckwheat seeds. I would say these are going to last 3, 4, 5 years. My wife got a container from her mother of the alfalfa seeds that had been like 8 years old, and they sprouted just fine. So, some seeds last longer than others. If you put them in the refrigerator, they'll last longer. You can even freeze them; they'll last longer. As far as the shelf life, once you're done, once these are ready for harvest, and I cut these with my scissors and I put them in a bag. Another little tip that I teach people in my course is that when you're ready to, if you're not just going to put them on your salad, but you're going to put them in the refrigerator, don't put them in the refrigerator wet. In other words, don't water them and then cut them and put them in a bag and put them in the fridge. You wait till they're drier and then you cut them and put them in the baggie and put them in the fridge. I would say these would probably last for maybe a week and a half in the refrigerator. Alfalfa would probably last for a good week. Buckwheat, probably a week, week and a half. Sunflower greens, maybe 2 weeks. Fava greens, maybe 2 weeks. Lentils, a couple weeks, week and a half to 2 weeks. Mine typically don't stay there that long because I eat them as fast as I can. So, but you got a week or 2 weeks in a bag or in a jar. You can just take this jar, actually, you can just put this jar right in your refrigerator. You don't even need to take it out. And then you can just take the lid off and just pour them right into your salad. I feel like washing them twice a day is washing them. So they are getting washed before they go into the salad. They're washed when I'm soaking them and rinsing them. So, you know, as you do it, you learn as you go along, just like anything else.
Thank you. Thank you. Zaza, I see that you have a question. Go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Did you say to put the sprouts in the bathroom?
Well, I mean, what I said was you can actually grow them in the bathroom. You can do what I just did with the lentils. You can put them under your bathroom sink, and you can soak them, put this on your countertop, on your, you know, where you shave or where you brush your teeth, put it right on your countertop. And then you can pour the water into the sink, and then you can put them on the side and let them just, you know, between rinsings, or you can put them under the cabinet, or you can put them in your bathroom closet. So if you don't have a lot of room in your kitchen, all you need is a little place in your bathroom and you can grow these. Now, if you're going to grow them into the microgreen stage, where do you want them to green up? You're going to need to have them next to a window where the sunlight comes in. But sprouts, you don't need any sunlight. We have our laundry room. I sometimes grow them in my laundry room, and we have a little sink right there that my wife uses, and I drain my seeds right there. And so for sprouts, anywhere you've got a sink and water and a little space, that's all you need. Microgreens, you need to find a place where you can let them sit, like on a windowsill or on a table, where they get green up from the sunlight.
Okay, thank you. Can I talk?
What?
Thank you for the presentation. Hope you all can hear me.
All right. We can hear you.
Okay, good.
Go ahead,
So,
Zaza, what's your question?
yeah, so my question is, when it comes to the microgreens, because you said they're sprouting, you know, there's different phases.
Yeah.
So the most nutritious way to do microgreens, I've seen them in the water, I've seen them in the soil. I've even recently bought some in a coconut shell.
Yes.
And they said that they were live. So I kind of wonder if you can speak to that. And in your classes, will you talk about the coconut shell, being able to do it that way?
I mentioned coconut shells, cocoa core, but I've never used cocoa core. I talk about in the course that when it comes to a little tray, and when you're growing microgreens on, it's called a medium, whether you use potting soil or whether you use cocoa core, there's different things that you can use. You can use these little micro mats, as I mentioned, that absorb water really well. There's quite a range. Just like with gardening, you can do raised beds, you can do it this way, you can do it that way. It's the same thing with growing microgreens and sprouts. There's not one way, there's different ways. So in my course, I show people what I do, and then I show them how it works, how they can actually see these things grow up right in front of them, so then they know what to do. So, but there's quite a few options, and it's up to you to do your research and decide how you want to do it. Make sense? Did we lose our audio?
All right.
No, we didn't. We can hear you.
Okay, good.
Okay, let's have Patty's iPad. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, we have a question.
I have a question. Can you tell me, it seems to be that there's a shortage on seeds as far as the gardening seeds. Is there a difference between sprouting seeds and gardening seeds?
Yes, good question. No, there's no difference. There's no difference.
Okay.
Now, True Leaf Market, when COVID hit, when the pandemic hit, they were just cleaned out because people were buying seeds, because you can, seeds are great to store so that if you run into a food crisis, you can take out your bag of lentils and you can start growing your own food. So it's a great emergency option, but it wasn't long until they got caught up and then they got more seeds in. And so right now you shouldn't have any problem getting seeds from them, but they're the same seeds. If you take a broccoli seed
Yeah.
these peas, I'll grow these peas into sprouts. So I can take one of these peas and I can put it in my garden, and it's going to grow up to from the sprouting stage under the ground and to the microgreen stage as it's growing up, and it's going to keep growing up until you got peas in your garden. So seeds are seeds.
Wonderful. Good to know, because we've been saving a lot of seeds.
Yeah.
Shh, shh, shh. Go ahead.
Okay, I see more hands, lots of hands.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's have Justin Palmer with your question. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
I can see
Justin Palmer.
his name, can't see his face.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Justin.
I noticed that you said that we can do many things with sprouts or microgreens, and you said that we can even have it in granola. So I wanted to ask, with my granola, I normally have fruits. Would that be considered okay to do? Like, is that mixing fruits and vegetables?
Yeah, no, I think it's absolutely fine. I do it all the time. I put lentil sprouts in. I put sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds without the hull. If you get a good seed, you can grow those in a jar. Very simple. Takes just a couple days, and you've got sunflower sprouts. And I put those right in my granola. Another one is buckwheat Gropes, which is buckwheat. This buckwheat, I planted these with, and they have the hulls on them. But you can buy in the market, at True Leaf Market, you can buy a bag of buckwheat groats without the hulls, and you put them in a colander, and you rinse them, and then you soak them. You just rinse them a couple days, and it's hard for me to just show you how to do it, but it's very simple to do once you learn what to do, and they're great in granola. So it's no problem. I have blueberries, strawberries, seeds, granola, nuts. I put them all in my granola, and it's delicious. So I have no problem with my stomach combining them.
Great to know. Thank you.
Sure. And the reason why I do that in my breakfast is because I want to get as much live food in my body as I can. So to me, it's not enough just to have live food for lunch. I like live food in the morning. So I sprinkle my lentil sprouts right on my waffles. Lentils have a very mild flavor, so you really don't taste them very much. It's kind of like tofu, you don't really taste tofu, but the seasoning, that's what you taste. Same thing with lentil sprouts. They're very mild. Put them on your waffles, and then put your blueberry jam on top, or your whatever kind of, honey or whatever else. And it's just great.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I saw a hand up. I don't see it there anymore. Shamela, are you there? Please forgive me if I'm butchering your name. I'm sorry. Miss Griffiths, are you still there? Your hand was up earlier.
Is that Fred talking?
No, this is Carlos. Fred had to step away.
Okay. Hey, Carlos, while you're finding the next person, I see some chats questions. Someone asked, can I make smoothies with sprouts? Definitely put them in your smoothie. Someone asked, can you transplant the sprouts into the ground, into the garden? Yes, you certainly can. If you get them, growing big enough, just put them right in your garden at the right time. So yeah, all those. What fertilizer do I use? Somebody asked. I use the Azomite, bag that I showed you. Liquid kelp is good. There's different kinds of fertilizers you can add to the water or sprinkle on the dirt. Typically, you don't really normally add sprinkle extra fertilizer unless you're growing a microgreen just with water. So if you don't use soil, if you just use like a micro mat and grow it like this. These were grown on micro mats, these purple Rambo radish. That's why I put the Azomite on there, because when you just give them water, it just gives them extra nutrition with the fertilizer.
All righty. All right, let's go with V20. Oh, I'm sorry, Yvette. I see your hand up before V. We'll go with Yvette, and then we'll go with V20. Go ahead and unmute your mic. Yvette Palmer, go ahead and unmute your mic if you're there. All right, we'll get back to you, Yvette. Let's go with V20. Go ahead and unmute your mic. V20.
So someone mentioned putting B12 on them.
Vitamin B12. Yeah, I've never done that. I use hydrogen peroxide. Some people are worried, about mold or contamination. If you just take a cap of 3% hydrogen peroxide, you can buy this in the market for $1. This is just regular, simple hydrogen peroxide. I take a cap of this and I put it in my spray bottle and with the water in the spray bottle, and then I spray them down, and that'll kill any kind of, bacteria or mold. A lot of times I don't do that. I've been growing these things for a long time, and many times I don't use any hydrogen peroxide. But hydrogen peroxide
I'm sorry, would you use food grade though?
Sure you can. I think you can. Yeah. Can someone ask, can you use chia seeds? Yes, you can sprout chia, and I show you how to do this in my course. Very easy to grow chia seeds in sprouts. Somebody else asked, will they grow back once you cut them? These won't. The purple rambo radish won't grow. Wheatgrass, you can get a second crop, but I don't think it's very good. Now with peas, we tried in the course, we did an experiment where I had a whole big, beautiful tray of pea sprouts. And I cut them all off and I ate them, and I continued to water the ground to see if they would regrow. And sure enough, they grew a great second crop. So it depends upon the seeds, whether you can regrow them or not.
All right, let's go with Veronica and Williams with your question. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
My question was, is there any, I don't know if you eat all of your food raw or not, but are there any like contraindications for eating so much of this raw? Like, I don't know if the nuts, like not the nuts, the grains. I think you mentioned, let me go to the page. The beans that you are sprouting. I figure you're eating the whole bean and the sprout. So I'm wondering, is it a problem to eat that cruciferous, that will it digest?
Yeah,
instead of cooking them for 3 hours.
Yeah, once a seed begins to sprout, there are certain nutrients in a seed that stop it from sprouting until it gets in the right condition, like under the ground or in water. And those are they call them anti-nutrients. Phytic acid, I think it's what it's called. But once the seed begins to sprout, those chemicals go into the water and they're gone. So that's why you don't drink the water that you soak a seed in. You pour that water out. It's got the anti-nutrients in it. You can put it on your houseplants. They'll be fine with it, but don't drink it. And then once they start growing, they don't have those chemicals in them. And so they're much more easy for your body to digest. So you don't have problems. And I've never heard of anybody having any problems with homegrown food. Some people say, well, alfalfa sprouts could give you a disease, but those are only from commercially grown sprouts where they happen to have a bad batch. But I've never read or ever heard of anybody getting sick from homegrown sprouts or microgreens that you do in your house. I do eat other food. I'm not a raw foodist completely, where I do, I'll cook potatoes, and I just had a veggie burger today for lunch. And so, I do eat other food that's cooked, but I think that if you up the raw, you're definitely increasing your health. And I don't see any problem, no contraindications or anything like that with just eating raw food. And like I said, when the beans are sprouted, they're much easier to digest.
That's excellent. And I noticed you mentioned the hydrogen peroxide in there, and I do see the question in there in the chat. It's my question too. What is your percentage of hydrogen peroxide that you use? You've got is that a 3% that you're hanging there?
A tablespoon or a cap, just one capful into a spray bottle about this big. That's all you need. And you just, if you see a little bit of mold, anybody that grows microgreens does sometimes get mold, and you just zap it. Zap it with the hydrogen peroxide in the spray bottle. So, it's not hard to do. The mold on a microgreen is not a deal killer, especially with wheatgrass. You can still get that mold. And then if you expose it to more sunlight and more fresh air, a lot of times that mold will just go right away. And if you do have, like with wheatgrass, if you have a little mold on the bottom, then you just cut above that, and then you wash them before you juice them. Somebody asked a question about, once we purchase the course, I see this in the chat, Do we have unlimited use of the videos, or do we have to watch them within a certain amount of time? Yes, it's unlimited. You can do it for the rest of your life at your own leisure. You have access to that website until Jesus comes. So yeah, there's no limit at all. You can watch them when it's convenient.
Great, that's very helpful. We have Nika with her hand raised. Go ahead and unmute your mic, Nika.
Hi, good night. Question. So, okay, I have an automatic sprouter, right? And when I first got it, it sprouted beautifully. I was sprouting like it was going out of business. But then I stopped using it for a while because, just got busy. And then when I started using it, every time I put a seed inside, it kept on getting mold. I know you mentioned 3%, but I'm wondering, seeing that it's automatic, would I put the same amount of peroxide in the barrel of water for like maybe a day or two to get rid of the mold? Like, do you have any idea how would I get rid of mold?
It sounds to me that it's not, that the problem is that your seeds are old. In the course, I mentioned that if you have problems, one reason is because your seeds are bad. That's one problem. Another reason, people soak them too long, or they don't have enough water. So there's certain things, that you learn as you go along, but it may be your seeds are just too old. It's I've had people say, well, I did everything right, but my seeds didn't grow, or they rotted. And it may be because your seeds aren't good. Try a different set of seeds and see if that works. And you just have to kind of eyeball it. I'm sure you could probably Google it, but from what I've read, for a spray bottle, it's just 1 tablespoon of hydrogen peroxide. And this is just regular 3% that you get in a market. Now, of course, you could spend more for higher quality, but I don't really think you need to do that. I think 3% is just fine. Another option, and you can get this at True Leaf Market, this is called grape seed extract. And you would just put maybe 5 drops of grape seed extract in this water. Sometimes I put grape seed extract and hydrogen peroxide and combine them just to give a little extra. But this also is very great for decontamination and mold control. Grapeseed extract.
That's great stuff. I like that pointer because that grapefruit seed extract is actually very good for your immune system right now.
Yes.
So, and you're using it for the plants. Go ahead, Carlos.
Before we go to the next question, all of these materials that you're showing, are all of these available on that True Leaf website you were talking about?
Yes, everything. And if people join the course, I have a PDF inside the course that lists all of the seeds, all of the supplies, and they're hyperlinked, so you could just click and go right to that place on their website. So the course is really a one-stop. You can do it yourself, and if you want to do that, that's great. Or if you want me to take you by the hand, you can join the course. The course basically costs about as much money as you'd go to the market one time and buy food. And then you learn how to do this and grow your own for the rest of your life. So I think it's well worth it. And we've put a lot of time into building this website, demonstrating these seeds. We also have support for people. If you have questions, when you join the course, we also have a private Facebook page that has people that are growing sprouts, and you can see them and you can post yours and ask questions. And so we try to provide everything that people need in order to be able to do this and just make it simple and very, very practical.
Fantastic. Before we go to Trudy Ann, there's one question in the comments that's getting buried. So just before it gets too far down the feed, someone asked if you can grow these for profit on, where was it? Grow for profit on several acres, ? So I'm not sure exactly what they meant.
Yes. Now, I don't teach about that, but if you were to Google grow microgreens for profit, but then of course you're going to need a good sized greenhouse. You're going to need a pretty good setup, but there are people that are doing it, that are growing these greens and selling them to restaurants, and they're making good money on that. For our sprouting course, we actually have an affiliate program that if people want to join the course, and then if they want to promote the course to their friends, they can get a commission on the sales. So that's what we do. But if you want to go into business and grow your own microgreens, you can certainly do that. It's possible, but I don't have the time to do something like that because it's really almost a full-time job.
Thank you for that. All right, let's go with Trudy Ann. Go ahead and ask your question.
Good evening. Thank you for your presentation.
Sure.
Very wonderful. My husband and I started sprouting before, but that's out kind of out the door. So I have to start sprouting again. However, is the water, what water is best to use? Tap water, distilled water, or alkaline water? And is the rich earth mineral good to put in the water as well for sprouting?
What was the last kind of minerals you mentioned? Rich current?
Rich earth. Rich earth.
Yeah, I don't know anything about. I don't know anything about.
Acid in there, 70 plus traces minerals.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that product. There's lots of different products that you can use. As far as the water goes, I mean, if you're living in Los Angeles and you don't have access to other water, I would use the tap water, even if it's LA tap water, because you're going to still get a lot of nutrition that you're not going to get in other places. So, but obviously, the better the water, then the better off you are. Where we live in North Idaho, we have a well, and our well water is great. We just drink it. We've had it tested for heavy metals. It's fine. And so we drink it, and I use it for my garden, my orchard, and for all my sprouts. I explain in the course that for growing microgreens, if you're going to grow microgreens for more than 5 or 6 days, like this took about a week to grow this buckwheat lettuce, you want to make sure that your water is between 5.5 and 6.5 pH. If the water's too alkaline or too acidic, you're going to have problems eventually in growing microgreens. Now, not sprouts. And you probably won't have the problem if you're growing microgreens in dirt. But if you're just growing microgreens with only water, if the water is too acidic or too alkaline, they're going to start petering out before harvest sometime. So I explain to people in the course, all you need to do is just, test your water with a little pH strip and see where it is. And if it's too acidic or too alkaline, you can just put some lemon in it and you can bring the pH down. So there's simple ways around it, but most of the time you don't have to worry about it unless you're growing microgreens for like a week or 2 weeks to get a big harvest. Then you need to think about that.
Okay, let's go with Shamela. Once again, please forgive me if I pronounce your name wrong, but go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, while we're waiting on that, I see Pat Humphrey has a question. Can you use regular lentils in the package from the grocery store? Yes, you can. That's what I do. At True Leaf Market, they have a package called the Lentil Fest that has like 3 different kinds of lentils, a red one, a blue one, and a green one. And that's and it's inexpensive, it's organic. So those are really good. And I'm sure Pat Humphrey, maybe her husband Art is there with her, and I'm sure he wants me to talk about one quick thing. White Horse Media and cooperation with Art Humphrey, we have a brand new video that we're working on called The Crowning Act. That's all about exposing the impersonation of Jesus when Satan comes as Christ. And we're working on that right now. It's going to be basically a half-hour docudrama, and it'll be out soon. So wanted to get that plug in there.
Hey, Carlos, thank you guys so much. We're recognizing that we're actually a little bit over on our schedule because we do have 2 more speakers coming up. So are we able to just take maybe one more person? We're going to have to end this session.
Okay. Let's go with some names that have not asked questions yet. I see Shamela. I'm trying to get you on, but you try to unmute your mic. If you're having some trouble, just message me in the comments. Let's see. Yvette Palmer, we'll go with you next. Unmute your mic, Yvette Palmer.
Right. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Yvette, and I can see your picture too.
Okay. Praise the Lord. I'm really enjoying your presentation. It has been a blessing. Now, I want to ask a question. Normally, we wouldn't eat the plant of the butternut squash, but I have sprouted it, and the person didn't tell me at what stage I was to eat it. So it had it became a microgreen, and I ate it, and it was so bitter, and they thought I was poisoning myself. But I didn't die. But I wanted to know, is it okay to eat that? Because normally we wouldn't eat the plant itself.
Yeah, what I tell people in my course, I've never sprouted butternut squash seeds. I grew squash in my garden last year, spaghetti squash, which was great. And so I tell people in the course that if there's a seed that you're, wanting to check out and you've never sprouted it before, you should Google it and go onto YouTube and see can you sprout butternut seeds and eat the sprouts. And so just do a little bit of homework. There's plenty of information online about any seed that you might wonder about. And so, that's pretty easy to do. If it just because it's bitter, that doesn't mean that it's harmful. There are lots of things like Swedish bitters is a drink you can buy on Amazon, and there's lots of things that are bitter that actually are extremely healthy for your body if you can just handle, the bitter taste. So just Google the seed and learn more about it.
All right. So
hope that helps.
thank you so much, Steve, for your time and for your information. That does it for our questions. We are out of time. I'll let Sister Reina go ahead and take over and bring us into our next session.
Okay, thanks for having me. It's been a blessing.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Steve.
I think we have all your information where people can contact you. It's all in the chat. Thank you so much. You've taught us a lot about the nutrients that is available in these vegetables. Sorry to the people who were not able to get on and ask your questions, but maybe in the next session. Thank you again.
You're welcome. God bless you. Thank you.